Damon Lindelof tells Variety.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to say something very ridiculous, but in all sincerity, I was absolutely convinced that there was a magical curse placed upon me by Alan Moore. The Batman is ramping up, with new castings for major villains, Aquaman 2 is mapped out, Black Adam has a production start date, and the light of Crisis on Infinite Earths continues to dissolve the bitter taste of unresolved DCTV series. We have all that and a whole lot more coming right up. I'm David C. Robertson, this is my co-host Jason Goss.
Hello.
And you are listening to DC On Screen, the podcast that covers the DC Comics multiverse on film and television, gives honest opinions on projects upcoming and past, and believes that every version of a property is valid, even if we really don't want it to be. If it's been released, it is fair game, so beware of spoilers, and welcome to the show. Well, alright. We're doing a news episode.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of news has happened.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
I'm actually pretty excited.
I haven't looked at the first dime. This will all be new to me. Let's do it.
Ooh. Alright, well, before we jump in, thank you to the patrons, patreon.com/DCOnScreen. We have two tiers. We have a $1 tier, and that will get you a personal thank you on the show, and it'll also get you the ad-free version of the show that we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The third and fourth tier are the ones that leave our eyes if no one comes.
Mm-hmm. But the second tier, the $5 tier, you get this, the ad-free this, and you also get extra content, like Jason's pull list. You just put up a new one for the new Black Label Harleen.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Good start.
Yeah, it looked interesting, and I'm gonna try to go back and listen to that Action Comics #1.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the only thing that you've done that I don't want spoilers on at this point. So yeah, and I've got a couple of things that I'm gonna try to edit here in the next couple days and get up.
Yeah.
Got a Chasing Squirrels and a conversation with our buddy Scott Madison, and we're already talking about doing a second conversation about the Crisis on Infinite Earths. So lead up. So and well, mainly predictions, but it should be a lot of fun.
Nice.
And this might be video. I'm not sure about that yet. All right. I've been kind of pushing for you guys. You guys have a new podcast. You and Matt of the MCUCast have a new podcast. Who watched the Watchmen? And
you have to be specific about that because there are a lot of similar titles.
Yeah,
we are the Who Watched the Watchmen.
Right. And we'll put up a link and in the show notes, I reckon, and on our website dconscreen.com. I've been pushing though for people to go give you guys, good reviews.
Yeah, please do that if you have a second. It would be great if you actually listened to it and enjoyed it and wanted to review it, but I'll take it if it's just a show of affection.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you want to listen to the first episode that's up right now is about the actual graphic novel, which is what the series is going to be derivative of, and then we're going to do another one this weekend that's going to be just the movie. And he's watching the theatrical cut, and I'm watching the 3.5-hour ultimate cut, so we're going to see probably what the differences are a little bit. I'm going to love a couple times. Did you see the scene? No, I did not. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. It's been 12 years since I saw that.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to listening. I haven't gotten a chance to yet, but I love both of you guys, so I'm going to enjoy it.
And time flies. That series premieres tomorrow.
Oh, good Lord. There's just no way I could do every episode. Just no way. I'm so glad you guys found each other.
We're going to go for it. And then because it is a DC property, it'll still be you and me doing a review at the end.
Yeah, we'll still do a review at the end. It might be, a little while later, like Pennyworth.
Right.
We still haven't gotten to Pennyworth.
We have not. And I was really trying to before everything got started up again, but it has, and I'm in it now.
Yeah, that the way I'm feeling, Pennyworth might wind up being like, hey, we need to do something in between the Crisis cliffhangers.
It's possible. It's really possible. Nothing against the show. I've watched 5 minutes of it and enjoyed the 5 minutes. Time is scarce.
Yep. But in that push to get some to get people to rate and review your show, I think maybe we helped our own show out a little bit because we got a couple of reviews on iTunes.
Nice.
Forever Cynical says, this show is always a fun listen. David and Jason know their comics and movies. I always look forward to their insights on the world of DC films and television. 5 stars. And
sweet. Thank you.
Baitney says, great show. Gives 5 stars. I listen every week. Dave and Jason are funny and ridiculous. That's who you want your news and reviews from, right? They also know what they're talking about, except when they don't. But they're upfront about it when that happens. Listen.
I'll take that. That's awesome. Except when they don't. And that shit happens.
But we're upfront about it. So,
but yeah, we're like, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I'll take that any day.
Feels very in the spirit of the show. An honest take on our fucking show.
An honest take. All right, so let's jump into some news here. Joker, man. Who the hell knew this thing was going to be so big? 619 million worldwide. 619.5 million worldwide, by the way.
Those are big boy numbers.
Those are big boy numbers, man. And this
that
is
10 times their budget. More than.
We're recording this on the weekend, so they haven't even updated the weekend.
Oh, God, you're right. They haven't. I mean, we're post Friday night. That's several more $1 million, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would go see it again if I had time. I really would.
Yeah, I was actually going to try to go see it tonight. Chris White was going to be one of our friends and listeners, was going to be in town, and he really wanted to go see Joker. He hasn't seen it yet. I don't know why he listened to our review. He listened to both of our reviews, both of our and
not how I would have done it, but each their own.
I mean, thanks, man, but shit,
that would have driven me insane. But yeah, I mean,
but he didn't get to come down after all. So, I don't know.
I hope that works out. I would like to hear y'all's take on it later.
Yeah, he didn't get to come down, so we're not doing it tonight. And
okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna. I don't know. I don't know if I'll get around to watching it again before. I'm just so busy.
Yeah, but his schedule is very much like, I'm going to be in Birmingham tomorrow night. I'm sorry, never mind. I meant Toronto. Yeah,
it's a bit wild.
Yeah,
it's a bit wild. So
never again.
What?
Nah, I'm kidding. Do it all the time.
I don't. What have I done wrong?
I actually don't know what that voice was. I was just kind of curious.
I don't know what it was either.
All right, perfect.
I don't think it was intentional.
Just something in your soul that had to come out. I love it.
Yep. So Joker is ranked number 10 for the year on the Box Office Mojo's worldwide list. Number 7 on the domestic list. It is only topped by Aladdin, Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain Marvel, Toy Story 4, The Lion King, and Avengers Endgame. And all of those movies earned over $1 billion.
That's really impressive company. So and truthfully, that means of the ones you just listed, it is the only art house film that got in that level of the stratosphere in any capacity.
Yeah, and it's weird because I don't want to call it an art house film, but it is.
I'm happy with it.
And, I see a lot of people throwing hate towards Joker for this. They're like, this isn't even the Joker. It's just, they took a story that Todd Phillips wanted to tell and slapped an IP on top of it. And, honestly, I think that's kind of brilliant. If that is what they did.
It's not a bad description. I just would take the scorn out of my voice when describing it that way.
Right.
It's pretty apt.
Based on what Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix have said, it sounds like they didn't go about it that way. Todd Phillips talks about it like he looked at a lot of different things in the 80-year history and went, I like this, 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 and crafted it from that. So that would seem to imply or indicate to me that he didn't do that. But if he did do that, we shouldn't be angry about that, because you know what happens to independent films that aren't attached to giant IPs? No one sees them. No one cares. They might win an award.
Yeah.
But no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
So, and this is on you, audience. You don't go see these things because you can't be bothered to see a thing you don't know.
I'm guilty of it all the time.
I mean, too.
I still claim that my time is scarce, and I really try to get around to as much as I can. But I mean, just keeping up with the stuff that we do is that's an entire schedule. Much less the Marvel stuff, which I also keep up with down to the last damn show. So it's hard. But putting if Todd Phillips has put out this movie, I mean, he's right. I may not have seen it, except he threw Joker on top of it, so it became a priority for me, and now I've really fucking enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. And what we got was a pretty interesting take on a classic, iconic character. So I'm not complaining, and they can do this kind of shit all the time if they want to. That's fine.
If that's the complaint, I go back to the Futurama writer's room. Sometimes it was Ken Keeler used to say during the commentary episodes for that, which I at some point had memorized as well as I'd memorized the show. Still smart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's basic though. Like in writing, there's nothing that hasn't been done. You're not gonna blow anyone's mind with some new idea. It's all there, but we're way beyond that. So
I mean, look, man, we celebrate Fistful of Dollars, but I mean, what was that? That was just a freaking Yojimbo ripoff. He even got sued for that shit. But you know what? He took a classic tale that wouldn't have played over here in this country, and he stuck a Western on top of it.
I just see it as a great premise for later, the episode A Fistful of Dollars that Futurama, I think it was 107 or something, 106. It was early. It was like in the first 20 episodes.
You understand my point.
Yeah,
comic book movies are the Western movies of today.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a really cool idea. If it does, to me, it doesn't matter how it occurred to him. Yeah, like if it was organic and he wanted to tell the Joker's story and it turned into something that seemed like really humanized because that's how he reflected. Like I'm in like a Watchmen mode. So like if this was like his version of a Rorschach test where he looked at a bunch of pictures of the Joker and this is what came out of him or them, I should say, out of that production team, then fine, great. I mean, you started with the Joker stories and this is where you ended up and it was a fun take. Or you had a story you wanted to tell. You threw that on top. That's kind of brilliant. Still smart. Good job. Go team.
Yep. I'm digging it.
Either way, clever. And the numbers are showing that people generally are not feeling betrayed by this. They're going back and seeing it again.
Yep. That is what's happening. Joker is Warner Brothers' highest grossing movie of the year worldwide. It is, it beat the biggest second weekend in October record as well. So... yeah, it's impressive. It's going nuts. It's
a juggernaut all of a sudden.
So Todd Phillips is kind of sticking to not actually explaining the movie, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
But he did say that laugh in that scene at the very end is the only time he genuinely laughs in the movie.
Which laugh?
He says there are different laughs in the movie.
Yeah.
There is the laugh from Arthur's affliction. There's the fake laugh when he's trying to be one of the people. He says, but at the end, when he's in the room at Arkham State Hospital, that's his only genuine laugh in the movie.
That's pretty good. I do love that, like, when he's trying to laugh with people, and tell me if I'm remembering this wrong, but he did a thing where it's like he always laughs just a little bit later than he's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes so much sense. I've meant to mention this a couple times, and I never have, but the one moment I thought of the entire movie that Joker was, like, actually enjoying himself, that Arthur was actually it's almost an actual joke and he actually seems to enjoy doing it, short of the homicide later, but that's a different thing. Like this was almost harmless compared when he says like, oh, I forgot to punch out, and punches the shit out of that time clock.
I
actually laughed a little bit, like, okay,
I've had that moment.
Yep. That was part of it, as I related to it.
Yep. Now, what I was talking about earlier, he told comicbook.com, when Scott Silver and I sat down to write it, we knew enough about the comics. I read comics when I was a kid. We knew he didn't have an origin story. We also, I don't want to say whether it's real or not, because I think part of the fun, I've shown it to many, many different people and they all have a different reaction. Some of them say, oh, I get it. I mean, the last line in the movie, you wouldn't get it to a joke he was telling. Well, is the joke the movie? Is the joke the thing? Or is the thing about, the idea is that you don't like to answer those questions because it's nice to see the different things people take away from it. So
I get that.
I don't want that answered necessarily. And I feel like it would be answered if there was a sequel.
It possibly. I mean, I think if you were really clever about it and based on this, maybe they have that in them, you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
But they managed to get past like what is in my head the Inception test, where like they gave me a story and I can see on screen that's a story. I can come up with an actual version of how that ended, but I can also come up with other versions of how it may have ended, and that's cool. Whereas with Inception, it's like, I don't know how I'm going to end this.
Yeah, and
no one just walks off into the sunset, hopefully to be devoured by coyotes.
I think even worse than that was the Birdman ending, but
yeah.
So Phillips even like talked about one of my little theories. He didn't know it was my theory, obviously, but he said maybe Joaquin's character inspired the Joker. You don't really know. His last line of the movie is, "You wouldn't get it." There's a lot going on in there that's interesting.
Oh yeah. The Gotham format, we call it now.
They asked if Joaquin would be returning to the role to take on Batman, and Todd said, "We would never do that. No. We just want to see where he goes from there." So apparently there is an idea. There really is an idea in their heads about what they would do for a sequel. And I can't imagine they haven't already been approached about it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That much money, their phone's been ringing off the hook. They've had to think about it a lot, and I would bet they've talked. But yeah, like I could definitely see there being like a Batman ban on the series if it became a series. It's just literally going to be about this crime lord or this disaffected person in an insane asylum, whatever it's going to end up being. That's the setting for the sequel. I don't know. I genuinely would not have I would have to close my eyes and throw a dart to have a guess, but I would bet money it does not involve Batman.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet money, but I could see it. Like I don't think he would necessarily have them face off. I can see Todd Phillips like doing a hey look they're the same kind of thing.
The only way, yeah, if it was that kind of angle, that's the only way I could see it. If it was just him playing Batman in a manner where, like the Scott Snyder death of the family storyline.
Yeah.
I started to say death in the family, but that's very different. But yeah, the death of the family storyline where Joker kind of the big twist of the series is Joker saying, I'm the only family you really have. These people are great, but I'm the one who keeps you sharp. I'm the one who keeps you up to date. I'm the thing that drives you. I'm your catalyst. I'm part of. He almost says like I'm part of Batman. And that's about the only way I could see it going down, personally.
Yeah. All right, so if you're looking to go ahead and pre-order Joker on Blu-ray or 4K, Best Buy has a really dope-looking Steelbook. I'm really tempted by that you can pre-order. Amazon has their their various formats that you can go ahead and pre-order. A release date has not been announced, but you can get in there. I'm really excited because Matt Reeves, during a Royal Albert Hall concert in London, Michael Giacchino welcomed Matt Reeves on stage, and Matt Reeves formally asked the musician to score the Batman movie. So Michael Giacchino is the composer for this thing. I'm so excited.
Who the hell is Michael Giacchino?
Are you serious?
Yes, I don't know. I know you've said the term, and I don't remember.
Every time I bring him up, we have this conversation on the show.
I'm aware. I remember that part, but just trigger me.
Right. Well, Michael Giacchino worked with Matt Reeves previously on Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
I remember that part.
War for Planet of the Apes, Cloverfield,
sure.
Let Me In. He also worked on Doctor Strange, Rogue One, Spider-Man Homecoming,
That's
Coco,
where we got it.
Incredibles 2, Spider-Man Far From Home,
Was
Star
he just doing
Trek,
like a
Star Trek
soundtrack
Beyond.
Concert? I mean, that happens for sure.
I don't know.
I wonder if it was that or like a private composer thing. Anyway, Roll Out of Horrors. It's a solid setting, though.
Yep, he's great. He did the soundtracks for Lost and Fringe. He's just Alias. He's amazing. I love him. And excitingly, Zoe Kravitz has been confirmed by Matt Reeves as Catwoman for the Batman. She's from Big Little Lies, Mad Max Fury Road. She was Angel in X-Men First Class.
There's
obviously the daughter of Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah, there's plenty about this that might work out. I'm okay with it.
I'm very excited to see her as Catwoman. We've got Paul Dano as the Riddler. I don't know Paul Dano. I only really know him from Little Miss Sunshine. He was fantastic in that.
He was great in that.
He was a teenager.
Yeah. Mute.
He was mute until the point where he realized suddenly that he was colorblind, and then it was just because he wanted to be a pilot. And,
yeah. I remember they're like idly talking about something, and he can't see the color difference, and it's explained to him like, "Oh, you can't be a pilot then," and it destroys him.
Yeah. Oh, it is not explained. He knows. He knows as soon as he realizes he can't see that.
Oh, is that how it went down?
Yeah. Like he just starts like screaming obscenities, and he hasn't spoken the whole movie. And he did such a good job of portraying emotions and stuff like without speaking in that movie. I don't know. I'm really excited to see him do the Riddler now. Like for a couple days, I was like, I don't know who this guy is, and then I finally looked him up and went, oh shit, yeah, that guy.
No, I remembered him immediately, but I did remember his face from that, but it was younger, and it's been maybe 15 years since I've seen that. I want to say I saw it the year after it came out, and then whatever amount of time has happened since. But I remember that, and then I remember him from There Will Be Blood. where it was just definitely the opposite of that character. And I really didn't enjoy that movie. I mean, borderline hated it, but
I am gonna have to actually sit down and watch. I own it because I like Paul Thomas Anderson movies, but I still haven't gotten around to seeing it.
Just didn't like it. Didn't care for it. Okay. But he was one of the parts where I was watching the movie pretty unengaged, and then he has one scene where he's preaching, and I kind of lit up a little bit. Like, that's really good. He impressed me. It wasn't even the scene and where it fit in the story. He jumped out of the thing for me. And then later, there's a scene where it's him and what's his name? Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
That if you haven't seen it, I won't tell you. But
yeah, don't. Yeah. Don't
there's a scene with those two later where I was like, that's the most compelling thing I've seen in this entire movie. All right, great.
All right, yeah. But I like slow burn stuff like that a lot of times. Sometimes I don't.
It may have just been lost on me. Yeah. It was a weird time. It was the last bit of college. I was in senior year writing 5,000 pages of shit that like I still have on my computer, and every now and then I'll look at the title and be like, I don't even know what I was talking about. But I wrote not 5,000 pages, 5,000 words. Just heard myself say that. But yeah, like I would write 10, 12 pages on stuff that I don't even remember what I was doing. It was just like you'd go in such a deep dive that the senior year of college is in a lot of ways like scuba diving. Like they give you a thing and you have to go real deep on it, and then you come back up for air and you're like, oh my God, is the Sopranos ending? Wait, let me look at that real quick. And then you get mad if you're me. But other than that, the next day you turn around and they're like, well, I need 10,000 words on this. Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. Robert Pattinson says that the Batman starts shooting, quote, in a few months.
I'll take it.
Yeah. I don't know if that
I just want a start date just so it's starting.
Yeah.
I want film to roll. That's all.
There are reports that it got pushed back because Jonah Hill left, but I'm pretty sure he was in talks for Riddler. The reports seem to indicate that he was like, maybe WB was saying Riddler or Penguin, and he was like, I don't want to do Penguin, dude. Come on, I want to do Riddler.
That wouldn't surprise me. Like, Jonah Hill has a little bit earned his keep here. Like, if he says like, no, I don't want to be cast as the little fat guy. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be this other dude, and I can do an interesting take. I would for sure listen to him. Mm-hmm. But it also wouldn't surprise me if Paul Dano maybe beat him out, because I have seen real depth out of that actor.
No, apparently, from all indicated reports, negotiations just damn broke down between Jonah Hill and Warner Brothers. And they just had Paul Dano ready to go. Like, no, we want that guy. Like, and I can see that. Jonah Hill's a bigger name than Paul Dano.
He is.
But,
I mean, for sure he is. But I don't think... To me, they're pretty comparable. I've seen Jonah Hill. I met him in Superbad. To me, he was just a bit of comedy. But I've seen him in later years. He can really act. He has really learned his trade. So absolutely. I didn't mind him being involved in this movie at all. That was fine. But if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. And Paul Dano was great too. So for us, it's fine.
Jason Alexander went on Twitter and was like, "Hey, so." If you guys need a penguin, you might, you know, probably a good call would be to have a marine biologist.
Is he?
No, that
would be awesome.
That's a callback to a really famous episode of Seinfeld.
Okay, good.
Where George always wanted to pretend that he was a marine biologist.
Okay.
So he's telling some girl from high school or college or something that he's a marine biologist.
That makes way more sense, but for a second I was like, that would be so cool if his actual job was marine biologist, and then he was like, well, I'm going to go to pretend New York and play Seinfeld or be on Seinfeld for a while. Until,
they're on a beach and there's a beached whale and someone screams out, is anyone here a marine biologist?
And he's got nothing.
Oh, he goes and saves the whale, but then he's such a high. Yeah, he does.
Oh.
And of
that's
course,
rare. Like normally that show would just leave you hanging. Like you would just, something would happen and the lie would be exposed, and that would just be, what it was now. They
do a great thing, and Jason Alexander was always great at this, where like someone screams, is anyone here a marine biologist? And you see this like look of dread on his face, and then the dread turns to determination. Well, we're doing this now. And he rolls up his pants and marches out into the ocean. And of course, like he he tells the story to everyone in the coffee shop later, how he got up on the whale and he found what was obstructing the blowhole and saved the whale. But it was one of Kramer's golf balls that he'd been knocking into the ocean.
I do remember that part of it.
Yeah.
I don't remember this episode, but I do remember that part of it for some reason.
But he's on such a high after saving the whale, he tells the girl that he's not a marine biologist.
Of course. There's the rub. Okay.
And she tells him to go to hell.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a good run.
Yeah, but yeah.
It's so weird to me that I don't enjoy Seinfeld, but I really love It's Always Sunny because they're very much the same show. Like every time the characters do something and It's Always Sunny, like they have no moral compass whatsoever, and it always bites them in the ass.
Yep.
They are their own devil on each shoulder. It's hilarious to watch, but Seinfeld has so many of the same markers, and I just don't care as much. It's weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, didn't they do that whole episode of It's Sunny in Philadelphia where they did a big chunk of one where they remembered an episode of Seinfeld instead of one of their own misadventures, and then they were like, "Wait, that didn't happen to us. We weren't in New York in the '80s. What are you talking about? That was Seinfeld." Oh yeah, they did like a whole flashback. It's been a lot of
episodes, but that wouldn't surprise me a bit.
They did a whole flashback where they reenacted an entire thing from Seinfeld.
Nice.
They were even dressed like the characters.
That doesn't surprise me a bit.
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, like the creator of that show was very open about how he was a big fan and very influenced by Seinfeld. And he wanted like the show about nothing. He wanted to take that concept and do it for himself. Yeah.
All right. So on to Birds of Prey. Gail Simone, if you don't follow her, she's a fantastic writer, comic book writer. She wrote Birds of Prey. She's written Batgirl. She's pretty great. She has been doing apparently some consulting, though she can't say what for. We all kind of know. She has some really nice things to say about the Birds of Prey movie. And someone was talking to her about how they're a little bummed that, or they're pretty bummed that Barbara's not going to be in Birds of Prey. And she responded, "I am a little bummed about Barbara, but she is getting a lot of love coming soon in other DC movies." So, ...
I love that.
I love that. And by the way, you really just need to go look up Gail Simone on Twitter and follow her. Like, I just read a fantastic thread a couple days ago where she had this ridiculous theory, and it's fantastic. This theory that Legolas from Lord of the Rings, Orlando Bloom's character, and all the other elves, by the way, don't shave their pubes or trim their pubes because she has all these reasons. She has actual stuff to back up her claims, including the fact that Tolkien was so meticulous. He wrote eight songs about beer. He's so meticulous in languages and everything, but he never actually mentioned them trimming their pubes. So she believes that the elves, including Legolas, has Rapunzel pubes. And that's why they can ride horses without saddles, because they're using
Christ.
Their 3,000 years worth of pubes as a saddle.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you need to go check that out.
I mean, it's a fun theory, but also,
it's really funny.
Is that even how pubes work? Like, will they literally just grow indefinitely?
She has a thing about that. She gets into the science a little bit about how actual hair works, but because they're 3,000 years old, Legolas is 3,000 years old, and he doesn't, his hair is still, long and flowing and beautiful, that it obviously doesn't go through the same kind of cycle as mortals'
they're different
hair.
Kinds of hairs on a molecular level. I'll give her that.
Yeah, and she's just talking about how the elves aren't breaking down on a cellular level the same way we are. So one might suppose that the pubes would grow indefinitely.
I don't see how that works. I mean, in my own experience with body hair, it just kind of gets to a point and it just chills there.
Right, but you're not immortal.
I mean, yeah. All right. So in the sense that my cells are made to be there for a while, kill themselves, and be replaced by a new form of that. Mm-hmm. And in the event that doesn't work out correctly, I will effectively have cancer. Mm-hmm. In her format, it's just that's not how their cells work. They just keep going. So all of the hair keeps going. I'm
probably not doing it justice, but at Gail Simone, just go check her out.
I'm curious now.
Go find it. Yeah, go find it. It's funny. It's not meant to be very serious.
That's quite something. I mean, I know our hair breaks down way later than anything else. So, like, if you unearth a body, it's just like hair and fingernails and bone.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you mention it, and no one ever says it, but it's got to be like hair and fingernails and bone and pubes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, have you seen any of these Suicide
It's
Squad?
October. We're allowed to say stuff like that.
Yeah, because that stops us in other months. Hey, so have you seen those Suicide Squad set photos that's been popping up and around?
No.
Everyone's complaining about.
No,
Yeah.
I've been entirely off the internet for like a week. This is all going to be fresh. What you got?
I'm not getting into it.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say there are Suicide Squad set photos. We do see Nathan Fillion in costume. We see Pete Davidson in costume. Jai Courtney obviously playing Captain Boomerang.
Sure.
A lot of the others are in question. It looks like Pete Davidson might be Savant, but everyone's reporting different characters for like Fillion, and for a couple of the others. We do have, we're going to get Mongal.
Mongol?
Mongal.
Mongal.
Yeah. I believe she's the daughter of Mongol.
Oh,
Which
Lord.
I'm wondering if the big bad isn't Mongol himself.
That would be interesting.
I mean, yeah. But I don't want to get too deep into it because I'm not really sure. Like, they didn't release these things. And I'm not sure who Fillion's supposed to be. We've got a couple of different reports on that. A lot of people are saying they look like shit. I'm saying they're set photos.
They're set photos, stolen set photos, I would say.
Yep.
These are not put out by Warner Brothers. Like,
So
give them a minute applies thoroughly here.
Right. And I would like to give them a minute. I'd like to, just see what happens with those guys. We don't have official confirmations on any of these characters. I mean, a couple of them are pretty obvious, but then a couple of them aren't. So,
but now that the set photos are out, if it has been leaked, traditionally, if we do give them a minute, they'll probably get back to us on some official word, one way or the other, just to get that out of the way.
Eventually.
Usually pretty soon. I mean,
I don't know. It's been a couple weeks now.
I would normally put it at a couple weeks, so maybe not.
Yeah. So there was a fan Q&A on Sunday afternoon, last Sunday. James Gunn was on Instagram. He revealed the Suicide Squad is the most fun he's had on a movie.
Nice.
And his most challenging was to make Guardians Volume 2. He says they're all challenging. Super was physically brutal, so much movie and so little time to shoot it. Volume 1 was scary because I didn't know if people would get the vibe. Volume 2 was the hardest because of my mental state. And Squad is the most complex and biggest, but also the most fun so far.
Dude, he's got a lot of fun people on set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that deck is stacked.
And he was asked...
honestly, if it was me, I would feel the most pressured by that movie because my cast is amazing. I can't fuck this up.
Yeah. Now, he was asked about any character limitations. He says, he said, nope. Well, I mean, we can't do Marvel characters.
Short of that.
He says, but there was no one I was told I couldn't include.
Nice.
They had free reign. He also explained why Joker doesn't need to be in the Suicide Squad. He says, no one but me and a few others know all the characters in the movie, but if the Joker is not in the film, I don't think it would be strange as he isn't a part of the Suicide Squad in the comics.
Generally, no. Yeah.
Yeah. And based on that, the way he said that, I think Joker's in the movie.
Maybe. But he is right. Joker's an unredeemable character. And the one thing the Suicide Squad has is it's supposed to be redeemable people.
Maybe.
I mean, I've seen versions of the story where Joker has some redeemability, but generally.
Yeah. I'm like, we don't have time for me to jump into that pool today.
All right, fine.
Jason Momoa was talking to Esquire, said Aquaman 2 is giving him creative freedom in what is a very long contractual obligation. He says, I came in with a big pitch. I came in with the whole thing mapped out, and they loved it.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I'm he may love this character more than any one of the... it has to be several million people that watch the movie. He may love that character more than any of us. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Did you see his little clip on The Simpsons
that
they released? He's going to be on The Simpsons, I think, this week or something. And as himself, and Selma and Patty are like, sign my boob. And he's like, now is not the time for the signing of boobs.
All right. Yeah, that's going to be funny. Regal Jason Momoa on The Simpsons is going to be a funny premise.
Yeah. Oh, he then clarifies that signing of boobs happens at a different location later in the day. But
perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
Yahya Abdul-Mateen says that he is definitely in Aquaman 2. He says, I'm so excited to be a part of that. Black Manta will be back, and hopefully he'll be causing a lot more trouble than he did in the first one.
I mean, that's sure how they set us up, so yeah.
And from Black Manta to Black Adam, The Rock has said that Black Adam begins production in July.
Awesome.
I'm excited about that.
I'm just excited that he was able to finally say there was a start date.
Mm-hmm. David Sandberg, Shazam director David Sandberg, has released an animated film. It's just like 6 minutes and 2 seconds explaining how test screenings work. And it's a lot of fun. I'm not getting into it, but it's a lot of fun. And I want you to know that. I'm going to put a link in the show notes just so you'll watch it, listener.
This is part of our masterclass on the Give 'em a Minute series.
Yeah, he does explain, like, you know, just because someone on the internet goes on the internet and does what they're not supposed to do and says that, you know, says what they watched, they could have been watching a shitty version of the movie purposefully, you know, because he says a lot of times they'll have like a test screening with one ending and then a test screening with another ending that's going on at the same time in 2 separate theaters in the same place. And they're trying to, you know, get a consensus on which ending worked better. And there's all sorts of things, all sorts of reasons you shouldn't trust test screening audiences when they say they did or didn't like a thing. So yeah, there's a whole lot more to it.
From him too, because his test screenings actually went pretty well, and his reception later went pretty well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's you'll learn some stuff. I
doesn't
promise.
feel like combative. It feels like he's just explaining it.
So you remember the little blonde-haired boy that was playing with action figures when Shazam and Savannah were fighting outside of his window?
Mm-hmm.
Someone asked if that was Booster Gold, and he said, and Sandberg responded, "You know, I'm in a good mood tonight. Yeah, sure, that's Booster Gold. Why not? That's canon now."
That's awesome.
Someone wonderfully went on to Amazon and reviewed Shazam and gave it 1 star and said, "I preferred the Shaq version."
Nice.
Sandberg responded, "Even I have to admit that is one of the least faithful remakes ever made."
That's not a real thing, but
no, the Shaq version is a real thing. Unfortunately, the Sinbad version is the thing. That's
it's Sinbad.
Real.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Sorry, it's one of those like examples of the Mandela effect that people think that Sinbad was in Shazam, and that's not real.
Yeah. All right.
Unfortunately, yeah, Shaq was.
Look, man. Here's the thing that happened, and I'm going to talk about it real quick. Because, and I don't think we've talked about this on the show. I'm not sure.
I'm scared.
But Zack Snyder put out a freaking... We haven't done a news episode in a minute. Zack Snyder put out a storyboard showing the original Martha and Lois have tea scene. Mm-hmm. And it looks like after Lois leaves, Martha turns into Martian Manhunter.
That's just weird.
Which is apparently the reason that Joss had to reshoot that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Also... Martian Manhunter then changes into General Swanwick, Harry Lennox. So that general in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman the whole time was Martian Manhunter. And we were going to get confirmation that it was Martian Manhunter in Justice League.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. Just that's something to give, if you haven't heard that already. I'm sure you have, all of you people out there. But if you haven't heard that yet, go back and watch Man of Steel now and freaking BVS with that in mind. That's John Jones.
It's not, though. That's the problem.
It is.
It didn't make it in.
I know.
No.
But
I mean, that's the only, like, it's a really cool insight and it's a really cool idea, but it's not part of it. Like, I love it, but it's not relevant.
I know. Now,
I want it to be, but it's not.
We've given a lot of shit to Snyder Cut people for being dickholes online, so I thought it was only fair to highlight when they did something good. They have raised over $100,000 for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
Awesome, great job.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna get into some Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff right after this brief commercial break, unless you're listening on the ad-free version, in which case we'll be right back in just like 2 seconds.
Hello again.
Hi, we're back. Crisis on Infinite Earths, man. Oh my lord. And this is, I'm going to start off with some news on this that I'm actually a little disappointed by. But it's Infinite Earths, so I'm giving them some leeway. And if
the first time I've seen you be disappointed by anything in this.
I know. And here's the thing.
All right. What you got?
It's out of loyalty. Mm-hmm. They have cast Stephen Lobo from Supernatural. They've cast him as Jim Corrigan, the Spectre.
Okay. Yeah.
I love Matt Ryan's Constantine show. Emmett Scanlon, also known as Lobo on Krypton. Mm-hmm. He was Jim Corrigan on Constantine.
Right.
Sure, this could be a different Jim Corrigan from a different universe. I don't know.
Easily.
I am sad that it's not Scanlon.
I get it. I'm also just super excited there's a fucking Spectre.
There's a Spectre, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. And I do like that actor. So, yeah, great job.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, that's a very small disappointment. I've seen, they've put out first looks, of LaMonica Garrett as the Anti-Monitor. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of people complain that it looks bad. I actually think it looks pretty good. It looks like the current Anti-Monitor more so than the old Anti-Monitor. And I still think that the old Anti-Monitor doesn't look great. Every time I've seen drawings of the old Anti-Monitor, I go, what the hell am I even looking at?
Yeah. It looks like a refrigerator came to life and just like...
It does a little bit.
What do you call it when you take an object and you just inverse the inside and outside of that object? Like
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either. But I did see that superpower, though, recently on The Gifted, and it was crazy deadly because you could just turn a person inside out. But... Or in their case, a bank vault. But that's kind of what it reminds me of, though, is like early 80s technology at its best that was just somehow like inverted and weaponized. And yeah, it looks a little silly. The actual drawings of the Anti-Monitor in his original formation just look weird. Mm-hmm. New versions with all the kind of tubing and it almost has like a predatory kind of feel. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I dig the Mobius look. And really, I liked the way that, I'm glad that we're going to get a little more of LaMonica Garrett as the bad guy here as well. I like him as the Monitor. Now, they've also released an official first look at Tom Cavanaugh's Pariah.
Oh, I haven't seen that. What's it look like?
He looks like Pariah. He looks good, man.
Awesome.
They released a first look at Lila Michaels as
is he just weeping?
As Harbinger.
I haven't seen the photo.
He's not.
But he's not weeping the entire time, but yeah.
We've got an official Harbinger as well.
Cool.
Now her costume is very, it evokes the original quite a bit. It covers up a whole lot more skin than the original and the one in the comics, which, my, purely male heart is a little sad by that, but I understand. I'm not upset by it. The one thing I am a little perturbed by, I really loved Harbinger's red helmet and long blonde hair. I always just thought that was a very iconic look for the character, and they've just still got her with really short brown hair. It's not a big deal, but it's still one of those things where I'm like, no, that's part of the imagery of Crisis.
I don't know why, but when I saw it, I always thought of the word that always occurred to me was Jericho, and I don't know why.
Because in the comics, Jericho had the same kind of curly blonde hair.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Maybe. But that was before I'd read that. That was Judah's Contract is where I'm familiar with him. That was maybe before. I don't know
how to help you then.
There was some tenuous Bible study, like Sunday school association that I cannot put my finger on.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, real quick, we got to get through this because, oh my Lord, I'm running out of time. I got a heart out. Mm-hmm. I'm super excited about this, but we're getting into the rumor mill now. Okay. Where Canada Graphs has reported that Robert Wool, the guy that played Alexander Knox, on the 1989 Batman movie, he was seen shooting a scene for Crisis, apparently, where he's sitting on a bench reading a newspaper. There is a newspaper floating around that has Michael Keaton's face on it that says, Wayne Tech CEO Bruce Wayne weds to marry socialite Selena Kyle.
That's awesome.
That would bring Earth 89 into the multiverse. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to, even if it is just Alexander Knox that we see. I'm excited for that.
That'll do. that will do.
Discussing Film says that a YouTuber named Paigey recently found out that the Titans are going to be on the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. It does seem like a stretch, but apparently this Paigey person is pretty pretty correct in a lot of their
seemingly credible.
Yeah, they're credible. That's what I'm trying to say. And had a number of reports that turned out correct. But another person, Jacob Fisher, is saying that he also agrees with this, but it says that he's seen proof that says that there's a possibility the schedules don't line up and it doesn't work out. Now, there was also a report that Tom Ellis was seen with David Ramsey, Catherine McNamara, and Matt Ryan filming a scene for Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he was dressed as Lucifer Morningstar.
God, that'd be so good.
Right. Now, he has refuted this. Tom Ellis says this isn't happening.
Yeah, they've all said that.
Exactly. I don't buy his story, though. He says,
we're so close, I don't buy anybody's story now.
Oh, yeah.
To ask about it.
He says, right, okay, see, this is what happens. I go to Vancouver for the weekend to visit my friend for his birthday, and now suddenly I'm in a different show.
Oh, well, go fuck yourself. That sounds like Lucifer himself.
That's horseshit, man. Mark Guggenheim has said that while the Smallville Season 11 comic books won't be directly referenced, one thing that will be referenced is the fact that Clark bought back the family farm, which is what he did in the comics.
Cool.
I am curious because they did do a version of Crisis in those Season 11 comics. I am curious to see if, we get a Tom Welling Superman who's like, yeah, I've been through something like this before.
That would work. Also, I've seen set photos of them on the farm, and I thought, yeah, y'all look a little bit older. Are we just going to do a flashback scene? Or that would make sense though if they bought the farm in present time. Mm-hmm. That works. God, if all of the stuff you're saying right now comes true, I'm gonna pee a little bit.
Yeah, and they've already released pictures of Burt Ward. He's standing there with one of his big dogs, that he's always talking about.
Yeah, the big dogs.
And I was just thinking,
25 years.
But I was looking at that big dog, and I was like, what if they named it Ace?
Oh, fuck me.
But he's wearing like a sweater that's like a really bright red sweater, and it's in the collar and the collar and the sleeves have like stripes on them, yellow and green stripes.
Of course
it looks like he's wearing a Robin suit in some capacity.
Yeah.
So I'm just so excited about all of this, man. This is one of my dreams come true so far. So yeah. It
is to date for me the most ambitious project I've ever seen mounted on a television screen. It's
someone mentioned
insane.
Someone mentioned on Twitter, I think it was somebody on Twitter, was talking about what if they did they should bring in one of the 80s, maybe it was Scott Madison. We were talking about maybe doing if they brought in one of the actors who played the 80s Superboy and then actually had him come back for Infinite Crisis.
Good Lord. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Superboy Prime. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So
that's solid.
We've got Wayne Brady. He's going to be coming on to Black Lightning as Gravedigger. Tyson Sykes, a World War II era member of the U.S. military who became a super soldier after a secret experiment gifted him with enhanced strength, agility, tactical genius, and hand-to-hand combat expertise. After the war, Sykes defected to the country of Markovia rather than return to a segregated America. His aim to create a sovereign land for metahumans within Markovia sets him on a collision course with the ASA and Black Lightning. Yeah.
Like Wayne Brady.
Well, yeah, we'll do that.
Now, whose line is it? Wayne Brady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. See, he's always been in great shape, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But man, I'd love to see him actually put his, drama in a role. See what he can do. That's exciting.
Absolutely. We've got Stargirl news. Supposedly, this is a rumor, but Jeff Snyder, which we, take it with a very big grain of salt. But he is saying this week's rumor of the week, and I do stress rumor. Mm-hmm. The DC series Stargirl is heading to the CW, so episodes will have to be recut to fit the network's broadcast standards. Though uncut episodes could make their way onto HBO Max down the line. That's a possibility. Apparently,
it would somewhat explain the delay, but I doubt it.
And this is my favorite thing, and it can lead into another plug for your show.
Yeah.
Damon Lindelof tells Variety. Now, the Damon Lindelof is the guy that's running the Watchmen show on HBO. Damon Lindelof tells Variety, It wakes me up at night, but much less so now that it's done. I'm about to say something very ridiculous, but in all sincerity, I was absolutely convinced that there was a magical curse placed upon me by Alan Moore. I'm actually feeling the psychological effects of a curse, and I'm okay with it. It's fair that he has placed a curse on me. The basis for this, my twisted logic, was that I heard that he had placed a curse on Zack Snyder.
Nice.
There is some fundamental degree of hubris and narcissism in saying he even took the time to curse me. But I became increasingly convinced that it had in fact happened. So I was like, well, at least I'm completely and totally miserable the entire time. I should be. When Zach was making Watchmen, and I only know this because I watched the DVDs, I was like, this guy is having the time of his life, and I did not enjoy any of this. That's the price that I paid. Psychological professionals would probably suggest that I emotionally created this curse as a way of creating balance for the immorality.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
He's very self-aware, apparently.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Suggestion. Lindelof. Need you to go see Grant Morrison.
Indeed.
I can probably put on his, I forget what he called his, he has a female persona that he dresses as, and that's apparently how he does magic.
Oh, okay.
He actually, at some point, said, like, I had a chest of clothes that would rival Jimmy Olsen's, as far as disguises and clothes. And general, he called it like a drag, something or other, I forget. But it was a chest of female clothes that he'd use. And in his mind, apparently, the idea of getting inside Grant Morrison's mind is frightening. But
I think
it's already and enticing. Like if that was a Magic School Bus episode and you said we're going to do this, I would be like, I'm driving. Let's do this right now.
I suspect it's already been done. M. Night Shyamalan did it in Split, I think.
Possibly, yeah.
He looks like Grant Morrison in that movie.
He really does. Young, fit Grant Morrison after he decided to go ahead and get rid of the hair.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. For some reason, he thinks he has a more powerful female persona when he's doing magic. So that's how he presents himself to magical outlets. So point being, get Grant Morrison, make sure he's in the right persona, and I think you can get rid of this, Lindelof. I think you can take care of it. It's got to be a counterspell.
I guess. I don't know. I don't like messing with that shit. I just think it's funny he believes Alan Moore placed a curse on him.
I love that he thinks that, and I love even more that he's given like a therapist would have given him this explanation. And he's just like, yeah, that's probably what's actually happening. Perfect. Fantastic.
So your show is Who Watched The Watchmen, right?
Who Watched The Watchmen.
And it's already up. So there's already a couple episodes up. One episode? How many episodes?
There's one quick teaser, and then the graphic novel review is already up.
Awesome. And go check that out. Guys and girls.
We had a lot of fun.
All right. That's going to be it. That's going to have to do it for this episode. And I'm sorry it's not one of our really long episodes. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But
it'll give us all time to ruminate on the gifts that Crisis is bringing us.
Oh God, I'm so excited. I can't even tell you, man. I can't even tell you. It feels like every other day I'm texting somebody, Scott or Brent from Fans Without Borders, and being like, "Oh my God."
Yep.
All right. DCOnscreen.com. You know all the things, the patrons and the Apple reviews. Those are good too. So keep some DC on your screen.
Bye.
Our intro music is by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Galactic Engineers of Magnetic Sounds, or GEMS, can be found on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Visit DCOnscreen.com to find our Patreon, merch, contact information, and every episode of the show for free, including crossovers we've done with other podcasts. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. For more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, vlogs, parodies, and our improvised web series Hey Guy, visit maladjusted.tv.